doctor and neuroscience. I am psychology.
Do you know Marilyn Cote? She's a psychoanalyst, FBI agent, polyglot, millionaire, one of the most renowned doctors of our time. Or, that's what she wants you to think. An ex-user wrote, "Her name is Marilyn Cote. She will have you believe that she is a psychiatrist, but, as you may have guessed, she doesn't even have a degree in medicine." That was the opening line of a thread on social media X, posted on November 5th, where a doctor compiled photos and testimonies of people who had been Marilyn's patients, only to find out that everything she advertised about herself was fake. She presented herself as a renowned doctor in Mexico, the US, and Europe. In her social media profile and her prescription cards, she cited Harvard as her alma mater and called herself the ex-director of the Mental Disorder Center of the University of Oslo. She will post videos offering her incredible services in English, French, and Italian, which she bragged about being fluent in, but not much of what she's saying can be understood. In one of those videos, she explained that psychoanalysis was an exact science and that, by using maths combined with psychoanalysis, she could cure depression and other mental illnesses in just a few days.
Puedo y quiero ayudarte. ¿Podríamos erradicar la depresión tal vez en unos 8 días? ¿Te gusta? ¿La ansiedad 2 o 3 días?
This caught the attention of people who were desperate for a solution for their problems. They would pay almost double of what other professionals were charging their patients per visit, only to be prescribed high dosages of drugs which Marilyn was not prepared or allowed to prescribe. She often posted pictures of herself on the cover of prominent medical and social magazines. In 2019, Forbes titled her the best mental disorder expert in the Netherlands. Why the Netherlands though? We don't know. But of course, it was all fake. Same goes for her FBI position. Her titles and prizes, which she seemed to be winning all the time. Supposedly she wasn't a profiler for the FBI. If you have ever watched the show Hannibal, she will be like Will Graham. So what isn't fake about her? Well, she is a lawyer and she has a PhD in psychology that she got back in 2015. No one is sure why she qualified for the PhD position in the university, since her past studies had nothing to do with psychology, but she did get the title in psychology, but she never talked about it. As you can see in one of her most viral videos, she only mentions that she's a psychoanalyst, that she can cure depression and she can cure anxiety in 3 days.
Soy la doctora Marilyn Cote, doctorada en medicina con especialidad en neurociencias. También cuento con un doctorado en psicología clínica y especialidad en psicodiagnóstico y perfilación. El psicodiagnóstico es una de las áreas dentro de la conducta, más si bien la conducta no es una ciencia exacta, el psicodiagnóstico sí lo es. ¿Por qué? Porque se basa en la axiología y la axiología en las matemáticas. Por lo tanto, 2 más 2 van a ser 4.
It is funny the way she talks. People were saying that it looks like a comedy sketch. Somebody else said the lip smacking gives it seriousness, because she does smack her lips a lot. There's even a filter of her face on TikTok now, where people are saying the most illogical things with this tone of voice that she uses, this very confident way of speaking. And it's really very funny. But there is a very dark side of this story. Aside from the frauds she committed with her patients, there's multiple stories that point to Marilyn being a very violent and dangerous woman. And I'm afraid that there's still a lot of information to come, since only a few the people that knew her in real life have talked in public. But let's start with her patients. In 2019, a woman wrote a review in Marilyn's Google page saying,
I used to attend both her private and group therapy sessions. She diagnosed me with narcissistic personality disorder and prescribed me with high dosages of antipsychotics, which didn't help me at all because her diagnosis was wrong from the start. She will change the prescriptions to her convenience without even waiting for the recommended amount of time for each med to have full effect. I had lots of bad results, but no help from her. She is still in the profession of a psychiatrist. I believed in her, and I spent unspeakable amounts of money in appointments and prescriptions.
That's what the woman said. But Marilyn's response to her comment was, I would love for you to have the ovaries to stand in front of me, Marilyn Cotter, and prove to me the bunch of defamations that you are saying. But you don't have the ovaries for that. As a narcissistic woman, you are filled with fear, insecurity, and frustrations. I'll be waiting for you at the medical towers. I think there is a reason why I owned 50% of the most expensive consortium in Mexico. It was the first 5-star hospital in the country, and I own it. Very professional, huh? Many other patients also reported her throughout the years, but the response of authorities was always lacking. Everything actually started after the thread was posted on X just this month, which was when the governor of Puebla, that's the state where Marilyn works, the governor spoke on the case, saying that the investigation was ongoing. Multiple of her clinics were shut down for investigation, and Marilyn quickly took to social media, posting a video of her saying that all of her titles were real, and that she will show them to the authorities whenever they ask her to. But for that to be true, she will have to present 3 different professional licenses, one as a psychiatrist, one as a surgeon, and one as a psychologist. With her made-up titles, Marilyn prescribed her patients dangerous meds such as Q-Mind, which is a strong antipsychotic, usually prescribed to people with schizophrenia. Some of its secondary effects are headaches, sedation, suicidal thoughts, diarrhea, and bleeding. She not only prescribed dangerously high dosages of drugs to her patients, but she also caused distancing between her patients and their families. That was the case of a young man called Bryant, who in 2020 arrived with his mom at Marilyn's clinic. He was seeking help to control his drug addiction, and his mom had seen very good reviews from Facebook about Marilyn's work. She was said to be one of the most prepared doctors in Mexico, and she was said to have an almost magical way of ending addiction and depression. So Brian's mom convinced him to go to see that woman. According to Aurora, Brian's mom, she called Marilyn 2 weeks later to inquire about her son's diagnosis, and the supposed doctor's answer left her in shock.
Your son is an evil psychopath,
she said.
He is bipolar and narcissistic.
Brian's mom remembered thinking it was a strange thing that she diagnosed her son with exactly all the mental disorders that she was famous for curing in an almost magical way.
Your son is crazy,
Marilyn continued,
but I can cure him for you. Just give me 3 months.
Desperate and frankly scared for her son, Aurora agreed and took him to another session with her. There, Marilyn offered Bryant a big opportunity. He wanted him to work doing publicity for her business because Bryant was handsome and he spoke English very well. And that was exactly what she needed for her clients. Bryant accepted and he started traveling with her. He did a couple of ads for her business in English and even appeared in some of her posts, now allowing her to say that he was also a doctor and a colleague of her. and a colleague of hers. According to his mom, Marilyn called her one day and told her that she had fallen in love with Brian, that she wanted to have his children and form a family with him. But at that point, Aurora knew that her son was no longer himself. Every time she saw him, he would be heavily medicated and drowsy. That December, Marilyn proposed to him. Bryant was 20 years younger than her, and they got married in the US. Now let's go back to 7 years before that, when Marilyn and her mom moved into a middle-class neighborhood. It took no time before Marilyn started bombing their group chats with threats and nasty comments. She will fight with multiple people at once, calling them narcissistic and frustrated. It seems like she really likes to use those words now. She will also talk bad about some of her gay neighbors, accusing them of being dirty and throwing trash in front of her house. She will often make classist and racist comments for everyone to read on those group chats. One day, in one of those group chats, she wrote that she had just gotten married in the US, that her husband's name was Bryant, and he would be living with her instead of her mom, so the group chat moderator needed to add him immediately. Bryant was 20 years younger, as I said before, and his arrival to the neighborhood caused a lot of rumors to go around, not only because of the age gap, but also because he always looked strange. It was like he was confused or mentally disabled. One of the neighbors said to a newspaper,
I know this may sound strange, but she wouldn't let him out of the house. She always had him locked in there all night long.
It was until 2020 that Brian left her. Unbeknownst to the neighbor, Brian's mom had helped his son hide from Marilyn after what sounds like a nightmare marriage. During those first months, Marilyn threatened her mother-in-law multiple times, but she didn't budge. Brian's absence also made Marilyn angrier with her neighbors. It got to the point that she pointed a gun to one of them and threatened to kill her. Time passed, and Marilyn's texts turned joyful again, and she seemed to only want to talk about her new husband. Only it was not Brian anymore. Marilyn said that her new husband was also a doctor, that he was a renowned psychiatrist in the country, but because no one had ever seen him, and because no one really liked her, it seemed that people just ignored her texts. This angered Marilyn, until one night she got out of her car and started knocking on neighbors' doors, saying, look at him, I told you he's real." She said that as she pushed a man in front of her. She was handling him like a doll. Both of them were too drunk to stand up straight. That man was a real doctor. He was Dr. Rodrigo Orcajo, who, earlier that day, had given a speech for Marilyn's new book on criminal profiling. It seems like, in Marilyn's little made-up universe, criminal profiling was one of her specialties. She even worked with the FBI to profile pedophiles, as you can see on her Instagram. Anyway, that book doesn't exist. You cannot find it anywhere. But the question here is, why did Rodrigo support her? He is a real doctor. In fact, he was Marilyn's psychiatrist. She had been his patient for 2 years at that point. Many people argue that 2 years should have been enough for anyone to see how unhinged Marilyn was, let alone a professional like Dr. Rodrigo. But he says he didn't know anything. He even supported her publicly on her new book, her possibly fake book, which makes me wonder if he even read it. Worse yet is that she was using his professional license number to treat her patients. So, when a patient went to the pharmacy to fill in their prescriptions, the number that those prescriptions had was Dr. Rodrigo's license number, not hers. Which makes me wonder, Didn't the pharmacist notice that the names in the prescriptions and the license numbers didn't match up? And it's not like their names were similar or anything, but she was using his medical license. In a recent interview, Dr. Rodrigo says that he was tricked by Marilyn too, but 1 minute later he contradicts himself and says, "Okay, I did know she was faking it, but I never asked her why." So why did he go to her book release and why did he support her? He must have known that she was treating patients at that point, because it was all over her social media. So why didn't he report her? Why didn't he protect his own professionalism, his own career? Instead, he let this crazy woman go and treat patients like she was the best psychiatrist in the country. In that same interview, Dr. Rodrigo says that yes, he knew that Marilyn was in love with him, but he allowed that because that is a normal part of every exchange between patient and therapist. He said that at the beginning of most therapies, there is a heavy exchange of erotic energy between the patient and the therapist that can lead to the patient developing feelings for her therapist or her caretaker, but that it is a normal part of therapy and it is more like a phase that only lasts for a few sessions. He also says that he didn't worry too much about it because he doesn't like women, so it wasn't a big deal for him. That day after the book release, Dr. Rodrigo went to Marilyn's home to continue the celebration. There, he accompanied her by knocking on the neighbor's door and letting her introduce him as her new husband. After that embarrassment, he continued giving her therapy for 7 more months. And that is where the story is today. She is facing 6 cases of fraud and theft. Brian's mom says that she and her son will fight for justice. And Marilyn continues to gaslight people into thinking that she's a real mental health professional.
Y a todas esas personas maliciosas que me decían mal, lo doble. Porque ¿saben qué? Me va muy bien. Disfruto mucho la vida, gracias a Dios.
It is a case that started as a viral funny video, and in just a few weeks has turned very dark, with alleged forced marriage and multiple death threats made against her neighbors. I leave this case with 2 main thoughts. One is that I don't know what to think about Dr. Rodrigo. Many people say that he looks suspicious in his interview and that maybe he was also profiting from Marilyn's lies. That is very possible, but I am also thinking, with the way she treats him in that video of the neighbor, maybe she was trying to force him into a relationship with her the same way she did with Bryant. And the second thing is, she is obviously very prepared. She has a bachelor's degree in law, a master's degree, and a psychology PhD certification. She has been studying her whole life. So why did she do this? She obviously is a good speaker. She knows how to use confidence to attract clients, to get people to trust her and give her money. So why didn't she use those abilities in her real profession? Maybe she just wanted the respect and admiration that comes with being a doctor. What do you think? One thing I find very interesting is that many of her speeches and the way she was speaking in some of her lives were very similar to TV shows and the way TV personalities speak. It seems like she was copying different personalities or different characters. And I think it is too early to be certain of this, but people are finding more and more coincidences between her speeches and her declarations and other pieces of media.
Hice todo lo que se me dio la gana, desde el buen sentido de la palabra. Me costó otros esquemas, pero finalmente hice lo que quise. Fui quien yo quise. Viví mi propia vida. No dejé que la vivieran por mí. Pero más allá de muchísimas